Welcome to the Oil Stream postgame show, live on location at Hudsons, Whyte Avenue. The Oilers fall 6-3 to the St. Louis Blues. Not a good night, not a good way to kick off this three-game road trip. Tom Gazzola, Jay Milne, the EST glue guy, live on location. Matt Kassian is standing by and will be ready to go as we get set to break down what was a lackluster, disappointing, not well managed game by the Edmonton Oilers, and lack of discipline perhaps kicks in as well. You can text us 780-218-9999, or you can get at us via the Nasty Chat. Jay is monitoring the Nasty Chat. Let's bring in the one and only Matt Kassian as the Oil fall to kick off this road trip. I'm not going to say in spectacular fashion, but I don't think it was particularly great.
It's pretty rough.
Oh, wait. We're playing Gloria in here.
Kind of funny.
Not bad.
Ironic.
Ironic, yep.
8 penalties against the refs, or against, is not a lack of discipline. It's a damn screw job coming in from Rays 48.
Check 1 2 1 2 3 4. Check for Maddie. This is a check for Maddie. 1 2 3 4. Check 1 2 3 4.
Check 1 2 3 4.
All right, here we go. We are live. Let's get into it here. It is the Oil Stream post game show live on EST, and we're live on location at Hudson's Whyte Avenue. All right, let's get Maddie Kassian on here as we get set to break this one down. Maddie, I want to bring Cass, or you're going to bring Cass up. I see. All right, Jay, let's just start with this, okay? Things did not start well. The Oilers had a few good looks, but every time, you saw a little bit of a spark from the Oil, the Blues had an answer. You knew it was going to be a tough building to go into, and that proved true once again. The Blues have been scrappy. They're fighting for their lives. And we saw that again tonight. There's Matt Kassian. He's ready to go. So, Cass, I'm going to start with the scoring summary from tonight as well as the game stats, and then we'll get into your thoughts as they're playing Gloria here inside Hudson's Whyte Avenue. There was one guy that was very happy every time the Blues scored. He did not get a GC to Hudson's from us. I'm just going to say that. In the first period, Robert Thomas would open up the scoring, 1-0 St. Louis at 10:13 from Nick Leddy and Pavel Buchnevich. Leon Draisaitl would get the equalizer at 13:51. That goal coming on the power play. Connor McDavid, Evan Bouchard, the assist. Then the Oilers would take the lead. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins playing his 851st game as an Oiler, tying Mark Messier. His 15th of the year from Zach Hyman and Connor McDavid at 19:33. Things were looking good for the Oil heading into the second, and this is where it fell apart. Bad second period. The summer we talked about last game, and here we are again. Jake Neighbors, former Oil King, his 19th of the year from Braden Shen and Torrey Krug to equalize it 1:09 in. Then it would be Torrey Krug from Jake Neighbors and Matt Kassian. Krug's just second of the year, which is incredible considering he's an offensive defenseman. 3-2 St. Louis, 8:37 in. Jordan Kyrou at the 18th of the year from the 15:32 mark of the second period. Power play goal for Kyrou. Neighbors, another helper. Robert Thomas, the other assist there. Then you had Pavel Buchnevich on the power play as well from Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou at 19:35. 5-2 St. Louis. Going into the third, the closest the Oilers would get after that was Corey Perry's first as a member of the Oilers, 5th of the season from Brett Kulak and Connor McDavid, scoring a Corey Perry-type goal right in front of the net, picking up a rebound, banging that bad boy home. 5-3 St. Louis at that point at 11:14. Brandon Saad would add to the Blues lead, ice this game, 17:07. Time of that goal is 14th of the year, empty netter. 6-3 Blues is your final. 780-218-9999 is where you can text us, or you can get at us via the Nasty Chat. Jay is keeping an eye on that. All right.
Hot in here.
It's hot. It's not good.
It's hot.
Well, we're going to get to a lot of people are a little spicy. Spicy. All right, Cass. That was just a bad night. The penalties, the PK again. Go for it, buddy.
take 8 penalties and expect to win a hockey game.
No.
It's not going to happen. Like you can't. And on what planet are you going to take 8 penalties, only draw 2, and win a hockey game? And for all the fans that want to blame it on the refs, most of those were penalties. Most of them were penalties. Like you want to say, okay, maybe the one at the end of the game on Dylan Holloway, a little bit soft, fine, but he did cross-check him. Most refs are still going to call that a penalty, but you can't, especially with the penalty kill that hasn't been great. Like, and ultimately, it's not like they didn't get scored on 8 times on the penalty kill, but you still give up 2 and you're in the box way too much. You can't get any momentum. That second period, guys, period, again, just awful. And we talked about that last game. You mentioned it again today. Jay, I don't know if you listened to the last post-game show, but he asked me the question, and maybe you have the answer because I don't. Why do the Oilers suck so bad in the second period right now?
The mystery. It was a disappointing. It's been several in a row now where this has been a big lackluster part of their game. So I was hoping that you would have the answer here so you could tell everybody, because I'm telling you, this is hot. Impressive. My phone is burning my hand.
Cass, I feel like it's, I don't know, I don't want to say overconfidence thing. I think that they were humbled enough in the first month and a half of the season, but maybe it's just like this, you get too comfortable with trusting your game that you can dig yourself out of a hole in the third period, and they happen to keep digging themselves into holes with bad second periods. Is that a fair assessment, or is that a stretch?
I mean, it's got to be, maybe it's part of it. Maybe it's part of it because we don't really have any answers. I mean, it's not in the juice that they're drinking in between periods. It shouldn't be anything in that. It's just for whatever reason they just the foot comes off the gas because they weren't bad in the first period. They weren't bad. Like they weren't great. They weren't unbelievable, but they weren't bad. And then you fall flat in your face in the second again. So is that part of it, Tom? Well, I can't say that it's not. I can't say that it's not, that they're too used to being too comfortable to work their way back into a game, but it's not like they were behind. Like they were leading heading into the second period, which if anything should be like, let's go, kick some people when they're down and really push it and really try to dominate the rest of this game and take it out of reach. And they just didn't get there. So yeah, it was just too many penalties, too lackadaisical in the second. And then, for a minute when Perry scored in the third, I thought to myself, they might still find a way to come back into this. And, they have a little bit of momentum there, but just not enough time with 8 minutes left in the game. They take another penalty with Holloway's call. And, them's all she wrote at that point.
Game stats for you tonight. The Oilers outshoot the Blues 38-30. They lose the faceoff battle handily, 58.1% to 41.9%. The power play does go 1 for 3. The PK coughs up 2. Yes, 8 opportunities against. So PK was 6 for 8. Take that how you want, but you're giving up multiples on a single night. That is not good, and it continues to be an issue. I feel like, Cass, it's going to be more than just a conversation from Chris Knobloch to his team about the PK or a little bit of video. I feel like it's going to get a little more in-depth discussion and work, maybe some actual practical work on the ice in practice. And in terms of hits, the Oilers get out hit 13-11 by then you look at the block shots, 15-14 in favor of the Blues, 6 giveaways for St. Louis. The Oilers officially was 0 giveaways, Jay Milne. And then takeaways 14-12 in favor of the Edmonton Oilers.
I mean, if you look at those stats, if you look at that stat line, aside from the penalties in minutes, that would lead you to believe that the Oilers pulled out a 4-3 victory.
With a power play clicking, getting the shots,
right?
The face-off battle things, the face-off battle element is an issue. But, when you take those penalties and you get that many opportunities where you have to kill, it's not going to do you any good. So we saw that. Cass, if you want to chime in, go for it, pal.
Well, I mean, we can look at those stats, and sure, they had some shots and they had some opportunities, but the bottom line is you played poor enough in the second period that if you weren't just looking at the stats, you'd say, yeah, this team got outplayed hard in the second period. And you also have to look at the stats. Why did they take 8 penalties? And they weren't all great penalties. And guys, again, I agree with you, Tommy, what you said about non-block having to be a little bit, I would say, more assertive with whatever he needs to talk with about the penalty kill. You're going to be more assertive about discipline because your penalty kill struggling in that one. I mean, it shouldn't be all happy-go-lucky here after this game. It was you've been toying a little bit with some type of disaster, and your game looks like it took a little bit of a step back tonight, and maybe a little bit of a step back the last couple nights after the Vegas game. So you have to right the ship here as a group, as a leadership group. You have to right the ship internally. The conversations you're having about taking penalties, the conversations that you're having about the mindset and the effort and the mentality, you got to have those. And the thing is I think you see some of the players recognize it. I mean, Corey Perry, veteran guy, you see him go out and pick a fight. And the whole reason for him doing that is he recognizes that there's not the jam there. There's not the energy there. There's not the life there. So he's going to try to do something to get the team sparked. Doesn't necessarily work how he would like it to. But it just tells me that there's at least a player in there that recognizes that the momentum this team was feeling has shifted and they need to get it back.
Cass, had this been a 4-3 loss where they only took 3 penalties, gave up 1 on the PK, got 1 on the power play, would we be collectively, less concerned? Because 6-3, 8 power play opportunities for the Blues. You cough up to terrible second period again, and we're going, what the heck happened to this team? Like, if it was just one of those 4-3 losses, yeah, they gave up 1 on the PK. Yes, they got 1 on the power play. They'll be fine next game. It would be a different story, wouldn't it?
Maybe. It all depends on how they played in that second period, and how they played for that. So, yeah, would it be a different story? Probably, but that's not the story. The story is they lost 6-3. And they took 8 penalties, and they were killing all night, and hard to get momentum, hard to score goals when you're shorthanded. It's just tough to play and tough to generate those opportunities. And when they did generate them, yeah, Binnington played well. They didn't get goalied. I don't think they got goalied, but he made some good saves. They had some opportunities. I mean, Brown almost scored, gentlemen, almost.
Okay.
So, I mean, maybe that would have made it a different night. I don't know, but. Yeah, the bottom line, Tommy, stats or not, is they lost 6-3, and it was an ugly second period that led to it.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, I believe is the saying.
I believe that's the saying.
That's the saying. Let's dip into the nasty chat as well as the inbox.
And I was going to say, maybe this is exactly, maybe it's thankful it wasn't a 4-3 win. Maybe this was what, I mean, since Vegas, as you said it, Cass, this team has been teetering on lackluster play, almost no energy.
Needed
no
a wake-up call is what you're saying?
Maybe this is exactly what Knobloch needs to go into that room and shake things up and say, because aside from that second period, you look at the box score, this was a close game. They just had no intentions of winning that game in the second period. And maybe something like this, given that it is 6-3 as opposed to a closer game, is going to help send that message from a coaching perspective. Cass, what do you got on that?
Well, I was just going to kind of tack on and say, because I am starting to see the Skinner comments in the nasty chat, and I will say I was texting during the game with Dustin Nielsen and Joaquin Gage, and both them, and I agree, made a comment that Skinner looked a little tired. I was surprised, as some people have pointed out. I thought they were going to take him off for the start of the third period, and they didn't. But I thought he looked a little fatigued. Now, maybe mental fatigue. But with the amount of hockey that he has played and games that he played, I was like, probably get him out of there. Not because it's his fault. And I was also going to kind of tack onto that, and you guys can let me know your opinion. But the big difference between the Detroit game and this game was that Stuart Skinner wasn't able to make the saves in the second period that he did in the second against the Detroit Red Wings. I mean, they played poorly in that period too. Maybe they didn't give up as many 2-on-1s, but it was another horrible second period. And the difference was that Skinner just wasn't able to get that extra save or 2 or 3 that the team could have needed.
I didn't understand why he was putting up his arms and looking at the officials after the Torrey Krug goal. Like, what was that? There was no contact there or anything like that. And it was interesting, and I said it on the pregame show when Joaquin was in studio with us, Joaquin Gage, earlier in the day, and he was saying, I'm worried about Skinner. And I thought that was a little bit off the wall, but at the same time, he goes, here's why. And he justified it by saying, listen, Stu Skinner has had to make those crazy saves, some nice saves, and really step up his game, which is appreciated. And Oilers fans, oh, there's Stu Skinner. And I'm with them. I'm like, that's the Stu Skinner that you expect to see. But because he's had to do it over and over again, that's where I think Gager's instinct kicked in. And he goes, this is not a good path. Maybe Gager his spidey sense was absolutely right on this one.
Maybe, yeah. The leather was speaking to him. The leather was speaking to him. I think on that Krug goal, because you're talking about the second goal, correct?
Yeah.
I think it was he got bumped, but it was Brett Kulak that bumped him.
Right.
There was kind of a battle in front, and Kulak, and he probably didn't know who it was that bumped him, so he was anticipating a goalie interference call because he got bumped, couldn't get back across the net on that one. But yeah, I mean, maybe Gager's spider sense was tingling. I disagreed, and I still disagree. At the same time, it's I don't think it's to me that's not a Skinner issue. It's a team issue. You know, how the team plays in front of them issue. It's like we wouldn't have had any more help from Pickard tonight.
No,
he would have been just as hung out to dry as Skinner was. So, and hey, when you're even if you kill those penalties as a goaltender, when you're killing 8 penalties, that's pretty much 16 minutes where you're in your own end.
Yeah,
even if you kill them all. Like where the puck's in your own end, you're in set, you're not standing. Like it takes effort and work, and from a fatigue standpoint, it can drain on you. So, yeah, I mean, maybe Gager was right. Maybe the leather was speaking to him. I don't know.
It seems like a lot of discussion on defenseman Desharnais in the nasty chat.
Okay, what are they saying, Jay?
Just the penalty that was called on him, the 4-minute penalty that was taken, was that the right call, the wrong call. Yeah. It seems like a lot of the nasty chat is piling in on the refs and saying that this was a lackluster night from the officiating. I know you can't just jump on that and say that, but 8 penalties to 2 is quite a it's quite a spread.
Contrast, yeah.
And especially with the questionable one with Desharnais. Cass, what did you think of that one?
Yeah, again, is it a softer call? It's a softer call. But if you don't like it, like I've never seen a ref change his mind when you're talking to him on the way to the penalty box ever. Like you're not going to convince anyone. Now,
I've tried.
Yeah, if you want to talk to him and say, just, hey man, have a look at that. Like that's not a penalty. That's not a penalty. That's fine. But you gotta watch it. And just the extra 2 minutes there is something you don't need as a team. And that one kind of that bites you.
780-218-9999 or get at us via the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. It is the Oil Stream post-game show. Tom Gazzola, Jay Milne, live on location at Hudsons Whyte Avenue. Proud partnership there. Very excited to be launching it. It's our first day on location, and great staff over here, great crowd. People starting to come in as well. And then you've got Matt Kassian holding things down at his satellite studios. And big thank you to Matthew Whyte putting in a really long day today and taking care of things back at EST HQ. Let's go into the inbox, you guys, because I know the listeners and viewers have a lot to say, so we need to make sure that they're heard. This one from Dirk says, hey, Tommy, this game should come as a stark reminder that improvements are needed, yet on the back end and in the bottom 6, if they want 4 playoff rounds. Could have used the save, maybe 2. This sucks. Thanks, from Dirk. Cass, do you want to say anything to that from what we got from Dirk?
Yeah, well, I mean, they could have used a save or 2, and like I already talked about, they got those against Detroit. They didn't get them today. I mean, I am of the opinion they need to still improve the defensive depth and bring somebody that can additionally kill penalties. I thought Ceci and Nurse struggled on the penalty kill today, and we've seen a couple times the last few games where, particularly right in front of the net, they haven't been able to clear pucks or to find bodies and have got a little bit twisted up, and I thought that was the case again today. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of improving defensive depth. I haven't seen anybody in the nasty chat yet throwing out the trade Ceci. They haven't got that yet, or the trade
now it's
Kulak,
coming.
But yeah, it probably coming now that we talked about it a little bit.
I have one that has all of that in it. I'm saving it for later. It is via the inbox 780-218-9999. We're going to go to Jay right away with the nasty chat. One more from the inbox if you want to get a question in or comment, critique of the Oilers game, certainly after that 6-3 loss to the St. Louis Blues tonight to kick off this 3-game road trip, fire away, please, and thank you. This one comes in from the Liquid Beaver. It says, give credit to the Blues. Their forecheck, work ethic, and physicality could not be matched by the Oil. With that being said, the last 2 games the Oil have played like a bunch of dum-dums in the second period. As far as the lack of penalties called against St. Louis, the Oil did not work nearly hard enough to draw any. That one coming in from the Liquid Beaver. Harsh criticism for a team that got spanked tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the didn't work hard enough to draw them. I mean, you earn your bounces, you earn your calls in a lot of ways. They didn't put themselves in a good enough position to force St. Louis to take penalties, and they didn't help themselves in that regard. So that's absolutely a fair criticism for the game today.
Johnny Alberta on the nasty chat, give the Blues D credit. They are traditionally big and burry and miserable to play against. Penner's Pancakes immediately follows that with, the refs completely suck, and there's nothing you can do about it.
This
Maybe
has
true
been
on both counts.
Well, yeah.
I think both are right. It's some can say you're both somewhat right.
Well, the officiating has been an issue. We've talked about it so many times, whether it's on this station and the last station. Cass, you and I have, we've dabbled in that conversation. I don't know if we really need to revisit it, but really, at the end of the day, this one's on the team, man. Like, they laid an egg.
Most of the times it is, Tommy, because both teams have to deal, or all teams have to deal with the officiating, right? And you deal with it all the time. And there are nights when, because we typically have the Edmonton Oilers goggles on, that we would be like, oh yeah, that game was officiated fine. And the other team would be like, what the heck was that? That was officiated horribly. Like that. It happens all the time. So both teams have to contend with it. All teams have to contend with it. So to me, you can't use that as excuse.
Fat Dan in with this one. Fat Dan says, boy, howdy, that was painful to watch. Oil still lack consistency. That's a hallmark of quality teams and eventual cup winners. Reffing notwithstanding. That's from Fat Dan.
I don't think so.
Thank you.
Friends.
Yeah. Hey, Cass, do you have any vape chargers that this guy can borrow?
Nope.
Nope.
It is bumping in here.
It is. He's gonna go on camera. Watch him behind me. This is what I love being about on air cast. It reminds me of the end of last season. I'm like, come on, like
we're
a little bit of. Well, what do you
we're
got?
Gonna see a full scrap.
Next time
a full
you guys
scrap
come down,
behind you outside.
Yeah.
Tommy's got a bunch of these.
I've got a bunch of these. So
he loves to see the EST Nasty members come down here. There's several of them here tonight.
Yeah,
and it's kind of getting to that witching hour.
I know. That's what I'm scared about.
Everybody's a little buzzed after the game.
Everyone's buzzed.
It was not a great game, but as you guys know, that brings the best crowds for what we're doing here.
SJ in the Kootenays chimes in, says, really puzzled why they didn't change the goalie going into the third period. Not blaming Skinner, but he wasn't good. Looked tired. Why not switch things up or give him a rest? Cass, your take on that.
Well, I mentioned that already. I thought that's what they were going to do. I was pretty surprised when he came out there. And again, not as a judgment on Stuart Skinner's play, and not to pin it on him, but he did look a little fatigued. And I thought they were gonna do the swap there. It would have made sense to me. Now they didn't, and maybe that was them trying, Knobloch trying to say basically to the team, like, hey, get behind this guy, get back in it, battle for the third, fight for your goalie. That could have been the mindset behind it, but I still was a little surprised.
Going forward, I mean, this game's over. The 6-3 loss happened. Yeah. Lineup changes. What do you see coming, down the pipe here for the going forward? Does Picker draw in right away? Do we, does that rest
you get
happen
Dallas
right away?
on Saturday afternoon. That's going to be a
not
tough
an easy
one.
Game.
I think he gets Arizona maybe, but Cass, do you tinker with the lines? I think Jay's, like a lot of Oiler fans, searching for answers to get this thing back in the right direction, because it hasn't been smooth coming out of the All-Star break / bye week. What do you think Chris Knobloch's planning here?
I don't know. Are you going to take Brown out of the lineup? He came close to scoring tonight. It's tough. You saw a little bit of tinkering at the end where you had Corey Perry playing some shifts with McDavid and Draisaitl. I don't know if I'd be shocked if we saw that against Dallas. just as an experiment to see. I maybe he's going to run with it and see if that's something there. Putting a guy that's a little grizzled, likes playing around the net, gets around the net. We saw him score a goal with that line in the third, so that might be something we see. I mean, you don't have enough options to majorly tinker. I mean, Janmark maybe comes out again, and Gagne slides in. Maybe Brown comes out and Gagne slides in, but it's kind of between those three. Like, who else are you really going to take out here?
You have one option for a lineup change outside of just shuffling up your lines, and it's just bringing Sam Gagne back in for a spark. I know he had a good game. Was it earlier in the year against Dallas? But I mean, Chris Knobloch's hands are tied, Cass.
Yeah, not a lot you can do. I mean, the big question that you guys already kind of mentioned is, do you start Stuart Skinner or do you start Pickard? And ideally, you'd start Skinner, which is kind of why I was surprised that they kept him in the third, where I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to start Skinner, give him an extra period off here, give him a little bit of a break. But we'll have to see on that. It could be an interesting decision.
Cass, after seeing this tonight and seeing that, there was some tough goals let in, do you think that opportunity was actually missed to put Pickard in against the Red Wings?
Ooh,
I mean, it seemed like a natural.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say
Stuart Skinner's tired.
Yeah, I'm going to say no because he really won them that game in the second period.
He did. There's no question.
By keeping him in it. So it's hard to say. It's like, well, if I would have known, or if we could go back and we knew that the Oilers were going to play a great game against Detroit and play solid all the way through, then it could have been a missed opportunity, but they didn't, and they needed Stuart Skinner to win it. So now looking to this one, but the thing is it's a tough, that managing that goalie, that mental fatigue and that physical fatigue can be difficult, because Stuart Skinner wants to play.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. He's not gonna be like, yeah, I'm tired. They're gonna be like, how are you feeling? Yeah, I'm feeling good. Want to play.
But who would say otherwise, right?
Yeah. Well, exactly. So, it has to be in some ways on management to be able to monitor that and watch it again, which is why I kind of was surprised with him coming out the third.
My last question for you, Cass, before we wrap this up and then head into the Oilers locker room in St. Louis after that 6-3 loss, is this. That loss, the way it went down tonight with the PK struggling again and this team having another bad second period, I feel like it rattled Oiler fans tonight. I'm not going to say, hey, can you please reassure Oiler fans? But if there are those that are looking at this team and doubting them, which there are, because I'm reading the texts that are coming into the text line, like, what would you say to them at game 50 of this season?
Well, there's still lots of season left, and we saw them have a really good run, and now they're maybe dealing a little bit with the fallout of it. And they need to get back to playing full games, having good second periods. It's not like panic button time.
Yeah.
Not even close to hitting a panic button time. But to say, we're concerned and you're concerned about how they're playing, and to look at this game tonight and be upset about how they play, I think that's fair. It's fair to look at this game tonight and say, yeah, they didn't bring it, and they took way too many penalties. They had another bad second period. To have some concern about it, I think is reasonable and fair.
All right, Cass, fantastic stuff as always, my friend. Great breakdown. The Oilers lose 6-3 to the Blues. We'll catch up with you on Saturday, all right?
Sounds good, guys. Break up any fights if you see them.
Well, we've got Jay here. He's a big bouncer. He used to do this at the bar all the time when he was working, I think, at the Armory, which is right down the street from here.
Like the glory days, Cass.
Glory days. Yeah. You got the vest on underneath there too, or maybe just some leather like Gager.
Yeah, my skin's tight.
Do not come up to us asking to charge your vape pen while we're on the air, Cass. That's all I'm saying.
And I think he honestly thought there was a legitimate chance that we had that exact charger just on our person.
The answer is no.
No, we don't.
Okay, no. Cass, great stuff. Look forward to having you down here for a watch party or a pre- and post-game show. Be well, my friend.
Sounds good, guys. Yeah, have a fun night.
All right, that is our game analyst, Matt Kassian, breaking things down for us. The Oilers lose 6-3. Do not bring a vape pen up to us while we're on the air and expect us to be like, yeah, sure, let me get that for you.
Yeah, don't worry. Just let me drop this here, what we're doing. You maybe want to jump on the mic.
Would, and it would not go good. It would not go good.
But that is the beauty of being live on location somewhere. Is you just see all the fun and mysteries unfolding right before your very eyes. I wanted to get to this one from the nasty chat. Forts asked Ryan, And I think this kind of encompasses a lot of the feeling that I'm seeing on the Nasty Chat that Oilers fans are feeling right now towards their beloved team. The Oilers need to play a full game. And for God's sakes, play physical. The complete lack of physicality is embarrassing. McDavid is the most physical player, and that's a joke.
I like that McDavid doesn't shy away from the rough stuff. And if he is leading your team in terms of being the most physical, that's not a good thing unless it wakes your guys up and they start picking it up the rest of the way. That was a bad night in St. Louis, Jay. It really was. That's all I'm going to say. It's not a good building or easy building to go into.
No,
but it was a bad night in St. Louis.
And like Cass said, don't sound the alarms like those beautiful alarms that go off here every time they score.
Yeah.
Corey Perry scored, and that made me jump.
It made you jump. I saw that.
Made the ticker work.
Yep.
They've dropped 3 of 5. This isn't the end of the world. And keep in mind that this is the same team that strung together 14 in a row. But that being said, that's a completely different team that we watched play those games than what we saw tonight.
Yeah, I mean, tonight was bad.
Those games, when that streak was happening, those wins were happening where you'd get down 2 goals and you'd say, you know what, the guys are moving, maybe a bad goal here. But that team was capable of coming back and asserting themselves in those games. It has not seemed the same way. And I really think that was a bummer on the schedule to come out of that All-Star break, given what had happened leading up to the Vegas Knights game.
But you got to deal with it. Like, nobody's going to feel sorry for you.
There's no, and I'm not saying that, but it just might have started them out on the wrong path here, or a slightly different path. I think going into Dallas, I mean, that's an afternoon game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is not an easy task.
No, but they play the Stars well generally. Although, like the Blues, they get fits from the Dallas Stars. So I don't have a perfect solution. I didn't like what I saw tonight in St. Louis. I didn't think it was good on any fronts, to be honest with you. So that was a rough one in terms of a road game to kick off a road trip. Like, it was just, you go, what was that? You had the lead after the first, and then it just fell apart. The second period, was brought up last post game. It's valid.
Well, and Calvin C makes a great point on the Nasty Chat. It has nothing to do with hockey, but it has to do with your protection, and I really appreciate that, and so should you. Tommy, you better have Glue Guy as a regular on the post show for your safety.
You're in, Glue Guy.
If I wasn't here, I'd be standing right there off camera.
Like
okay,
this.
I'd be doing the shoulder checks.
You'd be like, no, I do not
protect
have
at
a
all
charger
costs
for your vape pen.
Dusty always says about Tommy and Maddie, protect them at all costs.
Yeah, and we appreciate that. All right, Glue Guy. I got my muscle here. We're all good. People starting to pour in here. We do have GCs. If you do come down and want to pick one up, we have some GCs, compliments of the good fine folks at Hudsons.
You bring us a vape charger, we'll give you a $10 GC. How about
I'm not touching a vape charger. Let's go inside the Oilers locker room after their 6-3 loss to the St. Louis Blues. Lackluster way to kick off this road trip. We're going to start with Derek Ryan.
Into a hot goaltender right off the hop. How does that impact your game, and is there anything that you tried to adjust throughout to be able to handle that?
Yeah, he obviously played really well. We just talked about getting more pucks and bodies to the net. You look how Perry scored his goal in the third there. That's kind of the recipe to succeed against a hot goalie.
You mentioned Corey Perry is scoring his first goal as an Oiler, but then also he has that fight in the second period. There's a bit of energy that he added to this game. What kind of elements do you like to be able to see from that, especially in a game like this?
Yeah, I think he brings a lot of intangibles to our dressing room, our bench, and then on the ice as well. He's a leader, and he's a spark plug. He can get us going when we're not having our best night, and I thought he did a good job doing that.
Considerable amount of time spent on the penalty kill tonight. How do you guys try to just chase the game down when that's the case?
Yeah, it makes it really hard when you take that many penalties. It gets you out of a rhythm. Obviously, our PK has been struggling a little bit too, so you don't. It's hard when you keep putting us back out there again and again and again. So, yeah, I don't know.
A 6-minute penalty kill, or approximately in the third, is that something you kind of go, hey, we've done this and we can do it successfully sometimes for long stretches?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's been a tough, 3 games maybe. That's a pretty small sample size. We've been really good for a long time, and Maybe haven't been getting the bounces and haven't been as structured as we were before, but it's a confident group. We know we can kill penalties.
All right, there was Derek Ryan after his team's loss tonight. Yeah, confident group, but not being able to kill penalties lately. That has been a detriment to the Oilers' game of late. They cough up 2 more tonight on 8 opportunities. Yes, some of those calls, if you're an Oiler fan, you don't like them, but that was what the officiating saw. That's what they went with. And like Cass said, you're not going to reverse a call when a player complains to you. So the end result is a 6-3 loss to the St. Louis Blues. 780-218-9999 if you want to text us. Tom Gazzola and Jay Milne live on location at Hudsons Whyte Avenue. It's getting a little rowdy in here. We do have some GCs that we can give away as we kick off this partnership, which has been pretty fun. Nice to be back on Whyte Avenue, Jay, I have to say. But a few memories of 06. Not the same Whyte Ave as 06, but here we're going to be here a couple times a month. We'll also be at the Bourbon Street, Whyte Avenue location as well. Yeah, I was like walking up here earlier, and I'm like, I remember high-fiving this person and that person, and then a shopping cart being flung in the air. So if you don't have better plans for a night and you hear that we're on location at Hudson's, come on down and hang out with us.
Well, and it's going to be at Hudson's West Edmonton Mall as well, right? So
yes.
Even if you're on that part of town, what are you there next
Wednesday?
Next Wednesday?
Yeah.
21st. And then I think there's going to be once a month, there's going to be a
watch party.
Can we say a big listener
party?
Say it.
Listener party, absolutely.
I don't want to spoil it, but
I feel comfortable saying it.
There's going to be
listener party.
There's going to be a lot more where these came from. Dusty and the boys and Maddie and whoever can make it will be here, and it's going to be a party.
Yeah. Those can ease the pain of a night like tonight. You know who will not be eased by a GC from Hudson's? The next player that we're going to hear from, Zach Hyman, following his loss to the Blues.
Goaltender right off the hop. How do you try to adjust your game accordingly and the way that it goes throughout the entire 60 minutes?
I don't think he played well, obviously, but that wasn't the main reason we lost. I think a lot of self-inflicted errors, a lot of things we can clean up.
Considerable amount of time on the penalty kill. How do you try to chase the game down when that's the case, when kind of coming from behind there?
Yeah, that's just a symptom of not having the puck a lot. I think we were defending too much. And then when you're defending that much, you get tired, take penalties, and then obviously on the penalty kill.
That's just Corey Perry's goal. Just is that kind of encapsulate just the goals that you guys are looking to score right now? Just put more bodies towards net like that.
Yeah, that's where you score the goals, is in front of the net. So he's been doing it for a long time. He knows where to go. He scores in the playoffs because that's where all the goals are scored there. And obviously just a great player for us and gave us a spark there. So yeah.
What did you think of the third? On the road down by, I think it was 3. It might have been easy to say, well, let's kind of save it for next game, or let's make sure we're ready for next game. But it really was a big push, and maybe with a couple of bounces, you're pulling the goalie one down with a chance to tie.
Yeah, I thought we pushed back in the third, and then I think it was 6 minutes or something like that in penalties, and it's tough to win. But I think that's not the reason we lost again. We got to clean up our defensive zone.
First of 3 on this road trip, 2 more to be able to respond. When you think about tomorrow, Saturday's game, how do you want your group to be able to show up?
Well, really good team. Obviously, both of them are really good teams, so we have to show up, obviously. I think it's just going back to the basics, keeping things simple. I think just making it easy on ourselves. I think today we did make it easy. We were turning pucks over and then getting beat up the ice and then spending too much time in our D zone.
All right, there is Oilers forward Zach Hyman following his team's 6-3 loss to the St. Louis Blues tonight. We got a text that I want to get to from Roland via the inbox, 780-218-9999. Roland asks, does poor play increase or decrease chances of Holland making a big trade? Roland, if this continues, then it might affect how they approach the team and Ken Holland, Jeff Jackson, how they approach the deadline. I don't think a stretch where they win one, lose one, lose one, win one, lose one, win one, lose one, will really change the overall plan of attack, if you will. So I suppose like the easy answer is a wait and see approach, but I don't think what we're seeing right now in this small sample size, the week and a half since the All-Star break, is going to make him go, geez, this team sucks. It can't do this. It can't do that. I think he recognizes the same deficiencies that a lot of people are seeing, but he's going to, as we know, be pretty patient about it, and then probably stick with the game plan is what I'm trying to get to at the end of, a long diatribe.
And I think it's more of stay the course approach, like you said, Tommy, because on any given night, I don't know that there's consistent, areas of issue, I guess you can say, where it's
tonight
always
PK was crap again.
Right. But it's not always that way. It's been running pretty
lately. It's been bad, but before that it was good, like you're saying.
So I mean, it is a small sample size, but yes, absolutely. If you were to continue down this path, and let's say you drop 4 out of 10. Right, then you're starting to get into an issue where you're dropping down the standings, and you're getting to that crunch time where you're going to have to make these decisions. So, but right now, who would you trade for? What area would be your focus?
The area of focus stays the same, Jay. I think, at least in my opinion, it's still you need to add depth at some point on the defense, and then you need to also, if you can, find a way to finagle a way to bolster your top 9. Yes, top 6 would be ideal. Sure, but that has always been the plan, regardless if they got their butts kicked by St. Louis or not, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think Ken Holland's going to have a knee-jerk reaction where he goes, well, we're not playing good in this 5-game span that I need to change everything, and all those meetings that they had 3 weeks ago go out the window. I don't think that's the case. If it continues, then those conversations start to pick up.
Well, and say what you want about Ken Holland, but that is exactly accurate, Tom. How this is not something that's just going to come out of the blue and he's going to freak out and make a decision that
he doesn't do that, Jim.
It's just not in his MO. So
right.
I agree with you there. And looking at our the Oilers' next game that's coming up, good news for Oilers fans. Kidding, it's not good news. Is Dallas just pasted Nashville tonight?
What was the score?
I believe it was it 8-2, 9-2? It was not pretty. 9-2.
Yeah.
And
maybe they're going to feel fat and sassy against the Oilers on Saturday.
I guess you can hope for that. I mean, they've got the Sharks Flames game on here, so at least the Flames are losing.
Yeah.
There's always that. I mean,
5-2, San Jose leads Calgary.
Take what you can get, Oilers fans. Yeah. At least if your team doesn't win, it's nice to have at least some solace knowing that the team down number 2 is struggling mightily with 10 minutes left in the third period. Yeah, that's right.
That's why you're the glue guy.
On that. It's a loser attitude, but whatever. We'll take what we can get right now.
That's our EST glue guy, Jay Bell, on location with me, Tom Gazzola, here at Hudsons Whyte Avenue. We do have some GCs. If you're by or not too far away, come say hello. And we've got some lanyards and some stickers and some GCs to give away as well as we kick off this partnership with the good fine folks at Hudson's. All right, we're going to go back inside the Oilers locker room one more time. Do you want to get to a text?
Well, just quickly, yeah, and I've seen this a few times on the Nasty Chat, so it's obviously on a few people's minds. D. White mentions that McDavid line didn't look good again. That is 2 in the last 3 games. Not panicking, not concerned, but not content.
Notable.
Noted.
Making a note. A note has been made by D. White, and that's more than fair. All right. One more time inside the Oilers locker room from St. Louis, a 6-3 loss. Here is head coach Chris Knobloch.
Time spent on the penalty kill tonight. How do you kind of rally your group to be able to respond when it might feel like you're kind of chasing from behind?
Yeah, I think obviously we're very frustrated with the calls that went against us, and it puts us in a difficult position to win the game, especially when you're behind, where we're needing goals, and here we're spending time killing penalties. And we gotta, as a team, we have to put it aside, no matter how much we disagree with the call. And there's been a lot of calls that our team has disagreed with, but we just have to put it aside and play hockey.
When you look at the first period, what did you like of the way you kind of got started and looked comfortable in the opening 20 minutes?
I think we managed the puck well. I thought we moved it
made some really good plays with the puck, not just giving it away. We were composed, and I think there was maybe a couple shifts that weren't up to our standards, the one that we got scored against. But other than that, I liked how we're just keeping our game simple, getting in on the forward check, and then spending some time in the offensive zone, because that's where we were playing our best.
You mentioned just before the Detroit game that you had a bit of a longer meeting with the PK and just some reminders of what you were doing to be successful. Maybe it wasn't quite like that the first 2 periods, but that 6-minute kill in the third, is that something you kind of hope or think will kind of get you back to what you were doing successfully?
Well, you look at through that streak, and a lot of things were going well. Our power play is playing well. 5-on-5 was pretty good, but probably the highlight of it was our goaltending and our penalty kill. And our penalty kill, definitely we have faith in being able to kill penalties and be one of our strong parts of our game. It's just been a lot of breakdowns and different kind of breakdowns, but I think we'll just constantly be needing to remind those guys that it didn't come naturally, that those kills, it wasn't just because of the personnel we're using, it was the personnel executing the details every time. And there's going to be breakdowns, and that's where you need your goalie to come up with a big save. But right now, we're just forgetting about those details.
Corey Perry's done a lot in a short time, and now including a fight and a goal. What do you think of the way he kind of continues to fit in nicely?
I think Corey's great for our team. He brings guys into the fight, and he knows, it's little things are important, and whether it's getting into a little scrum at the end of the second period to try and change the momentum of the game, or going to the net and creating some chaos. And unfortunately, the one we got a disallowed goal there, but another one, capitalized on it. And I think his game is very important for us, especially when so many games are going to be decided with one goal, and it's usually those little things about just crashing that net or drawing a penalty. I think it's good for our team.
Chris, this is a first of 3 games on this road trip. How much is this an opportunity or a test to be able to show that it's all about how you respond?
Absolutely. We knew right away that the month of February was going to be very difficult with the amount of travel, especially the first 2 or 3 weeks, and the quality of opposition that we're going to be playing. And a lot of teams that are really hungry to move up in the standings and fighting for a playoff spot, and we're not going to have easy ones. So, it's good for our team, and it's what we need.
All right, that was Chris Knobloch. I want to get to one thing that Jay noticed right away when he was listening to Knobloch right off the top. It had to do with his comment in regard to a call. Go ahead, Jay, and I'll give my opinion on what Chris said. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, and Dell chimed in on the nasty chat too immediately as he caught that too and said blaming the refs.
Yes,
I don't like that. I mean, you're given a real easy out to the players to do that, and that's not the point. That's not. There was 8 penalties taken. 3/4 of those were warranted. That's the end of story. I'm not sure that you need to go out there and say that right away.
He said it very delicately,
but it was almost like he had to say that. And sure, I mean, watching that game, looking at, you get a 1-pager after the game as a coach, you're going in and you're saying, let me see the stats as a quick, and that stands out glaringly. So
they didn't like it.
He didn't like it.
That's fine.
I wouldn't have mentioned anything about it because you're just objectifying it or making light of what the referees did, and there's nothing you can do to change that. Now, the other thing that was neat that was said was exactly what was talked about when the Oilers entered January and saw that schedule and said, hey, fellas, we can go on a bit of a heater here, which they did.
They took advantage.
And he acknowledged that, yes, the February schedule is a lot more difficult. So to acknowledge that and say, okay, we need to raise our game.
Yes.
Because at this point of the year, Tom, would it be safe to say that you're essentially in playoff mode now?
This is the beginning of the stretch drive. Right around now into March is when you start to feel the weather warm up. You start to smell spring in the air. We're getting to that point, Jay. Like, this is game 50 tonight, and they stunk one out. They got smacked real good.
And I've seen more and more chat, on that top line, being penned in, being caved in. And I just think, from a fan's perspective and from a sporting perspective, throw this game out. Throw the tape out. Don't even...
Could be one of those. Yeah.
Right? Nothing to see here. Let's focus on Dallas, move forward, game plan for that, come out with a strong effort. You're going to have 2 days off, so you should be well rested. Question for you. Who starts in net on Saturday?
I think it's still Stu Skinner, and then you go to Calvin Pickard on Monday against the Coyotes. I still think that the plan stays the same, Jay. Like, people pointing out how the first line didn't play that well. They didn't play to the level that they have established already, especially in recent weeks. Valid.
Yeah.
Valid. That's an expectation that they have created. They did not play up to snuff. It's okay to call them out. Now, if you were to get worried and say, this is going to continue, and I don't like how this is going, I'd say, okay, just give it a couple more games before we make that determination. But I'd still stick with the plan. I'm sure it was going to be Stuart Skinner on Saturday. I feel like it probably still will be. I know Joaquin Gage going into tonight said he was a little bit worried. I know we talked to Cass post-game, and Cass said, hey, maybe he did look a little bit tired. I don't think that takes away from him starting on Saturday. I think they stick with the plan. And then when you get smacked around by a team, although there were times this year where the Oilers got smacked around and they didn't do anything when they returned to action. But
I just find it funny that no matter what happens, if it's a loss, Connor Brown's getting destroyed.
He was getting destroyed on the pregame show. What do you see? Like, are there
warranted?
Some texting?
Yes, I mean, there's tons of conversation. The last one, I literally had to laugh out loud. Pick a nasty in the chat. Anyone, and this is from one. And they could get the 4 points Brown has this year, and we could each get a game. There might be something to be said about that.
Sure.
But, I mean, what are we doing? Like, what are the Oilers doing, Tom?
I said it pregame, Jay. I'm like, I would sit Connor Brown. It's beyond the point of being like, okay, his power or his penalty kill prowess is keeping him in the... No. If you're sitting Matthias Janmark, and why are you keeping Connor Brown in? I know their point differential is minimal. I don't know. Like, his puck touches aren't good. He's definitely slumping, and he's in his own head. It's not good.
Well, then why not
come to the point where it's comical?
Yeah, why not give him a view from the press box and see the game unfold from that perspective? I know it's your favorite perspective from up there, although
it's my only perspective.
Albeit it's a little chilly up that way.
It's very cold.
It's too cold up there.
Yeah.
But for a player, maybe he could use that view to see the game unfold and just get back to basics.
Yeah.
I mean, Connor Brown is an NHL player. I hate to say it, but this is becoming a little bit of a and think of what that would do for the Oilers fans to sit Connor Brown. I think it would be like the second Christmas around here.
Well, it would appease some people. A little goodbye to Johnny Alberta, a true nasty who was here tonight. Big thank you for him for showing up. To him for showing up. It's like a punching bag.
It's an easy shot to take, right?
Yeah, it's an easy shot to take.
You gotta blame somebody.
It makes some people feel better. It's a way for them to vent, but like, I don't think anything's gonna change just yet or immediately. And was it a bad signing? Yes. Now, it came up on the pregame show. Why haven't they sat Connor Brown, or why aren't they sending him through the waiver wire? I understand. The only thing that I could come up with rationally, trying to put together things I've been told from an Oilers side, looking at things from a media and fan side, I'm thinking, and I said this on the pregame show, Jay, is that they went through the, call it embarrassment, quote unquote, of putting Jack Campbell through waivers and that whole situation, and him having a few more years left on his deal at $5 million per, that they don't want to do that again with a $4 million player, a guy that's going to cost you $3.25 million on the cap next year, who probably 98% will not be on the Oilers next season. I don't know if they want that egg on their face is how I described it.
And why then do you have a player like Sam Gagner sitting in the press box who's worth more than a bag of pucks, who can skate, who can play with a physical level and
Fair.
and has that obviously that veteran status and moxie, as opposed to a Connor Brown. I think as an Oilers fan, it's okay to be frustrated.
Sure.
I think you
Absolutely.
should be frustrated because it's not making sense at this point. And yes, it is a bad night to be talking about this. I understand if this was a 6-3 Oilers victory, nobody would have really said a peep about Connor
No
Brown.
tickety boo on
But
that.
here we are, and you know, I think that adds to a little bit of the angst as an Oiler fan, is to say, hey, we got, you know, Connor Brown not lighting the world on fire. At least play Sam Gagner, who's an Oiler. He scored 8 points in one game, Tom.
12 years ago. But yes, he did.
I know, but that's a part of the lore.
Even his body of work this year is better than Brown's. It's better
Way
than
better.
Young's. I get that. He's an older player. He's had some bad giveaways. Yes, he's taken some bad penalties. He doesn't have a long rope for sure. Or the leash is not long. It's relatively short for him. I get that. But I'm with everybody when we say collectively that the spark from Gagner is much more than that of Connor Brown. There goes my former colleague with OEG, Matt McPhee. Looks like he's into one. This place, the magic of Whyte Avenue.
It's beautiful.
This corner. I tell you what.
Those are some tall fellas.
Those are my friends.
You must be a small person around them.
Well, you're their height. You're big like them.
Well, but there was 3 of them.
Yeah, they're like 6'4", 6'5".
It's not that often you see a crew of 6'2", 6'3" fellas walking around on Whyte Avenue.
Just rolling deep.
On a Thursday night.
Just rolling deep. Okay, like listen.
Do you want to hop over to industry night later, Tom?
No, that's a bad idea. I do not. I've had enough fun for today. We've got a whole slew of shows tomorrow. This has been good.
Well, as Pat Janix mentioned earlier, yes, I am feeling better than I was the morning after our Super Bowl party. Thank you, Pat. It was nice meeting you, and welcome to the Glue Crew. I think I signed up like at least 20 people. I don't know if many of them remember it all.
Or you just don't remember it.
Oh, no, I have photo evidence.
Yeah, you do.
We took photos. It was grinding Dusty so much. It was like a WWE match where I was taking pictures with the Glue Crew, and he was it was brilliant. It was really grinding.
I'm glad you're here. That's what a glue guy does. I'm here tonight by myself. You show up. I'm like, thank God.
I'm here to piss off the boss. I'm here to, Dusty was upset.
That's between you two. I'm staying out of it. It was also really nice to catch up with Richard Croft and Johnny Alberta as well. We do have a few more texts that we're going to wind this thing down with. I do know that we have to get to the Damon Bunting Remax Elite Player of the Game. And for Damon Bunting, as we take care of a little business, check him out. Damon Bunting, consistent top producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and amongst Remax Realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Community driven. Damon understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com. Visit his Instagram page at Damon Bunting Real Estate. I'm looking at the Oilers stat sheet, Glue Guy, and I don't like any of it. It stinks. It is no bueno. So you go over to the Blues, and unfortunately, the last time I had to do the Damon Bunting Remax Elite Player of the Game, I had to go over to the other team. I'm looking at Jordan Kyrou. I'm looking at Pavel Buchnevich. I'm looking at Torrey Krug, and I'm going, yeah, pretty good. And Binnington made some excellent saves tonight, stopping 28 of 30. But I'm going to be a hometown favorite and a hometown suck, let's call it. And I'm going to go with the guy that had 3 points tonight, a goal and 2 assists, +1, 3 shots, and 18-10 time on ice, won the draw he took tonight. It is a former Oil King, Jake Neighbors, who takes home the Damon Bunting Remax Elite Player of the Game. Well done to the former Oil King. And I know Rogan Dean is out there somewhere listening, watching, and going, damn right, Tom. You got one right tonight.
That's a prestigious award coming from Damon Bunting.
It comes with a ribbon handmade by YouTube Trev.
Yeah. Damon's my realtor.
He's a fantastic realtor.
He's my homeboy.
Okay, we're going to wind things down with a few texts. You wanted to get this one from C-Max on the south side. Go ahead.
Yeah, come on down. I'll buy you a
that's
beer.
what you want. Oh, C-Max.
Sure. Yeah.
flash the cards again.
You know what? I don't even. I'd buy it out of the kindness of my heart.
Oh, okay. You're gonna literally from your pocket.
Yeah.
For C-Max from Southside.
You heard it here first. But you have to take a picture with me. #Blue Crew.
Of course, you'd wrangle and weasel them in. Anyway, we do have $10 GCs every time we're on location at a Hudson's for a pre and post game show. We're dishing them out like candy. Please feel free to stop by and say hello. We appreciate it. Also, a shout out to Corey, who's swung by as well. He was watching the crack pack while him and I were discussing things about this game.
It was electric. Yeah. That's when I arrived.
Yeah.
It was a crowd of people over by his phone.
Yeah.
Simple 101 underscore 101 makes a great point, which hasn't really been talked about tonight. And I was actually thinking of it.
Okay.
But what happened to Ryan McLeod, right? Where's he been lately? And he said McLeod and Fogle back to their figure skating. That might be a little harsh, but it's
harsh
true.
Because of how bad things were tonight. And that's usually what happens. Like the poor play compounds and just it feeds into itself, for a lack of a better term. But yeah, we're seeing this. The ebbs and flows, the dips, they're dipping. They are 100% dipping. Fogle had a bad game against Detroit, was demoted to the fourth line. Fogle tonight, didn't really see him out there in terms of anything positive, in terms of an Oilers viewpoint. And then McLeod didn't have a particularly great night. It compounds.
It would seem as though McLeod's kind of on a larger dip than Fogle, I would say. I don't really know how relevant he's been.
Subjective.
Yeah, but I mean, even at the end of that streak, he had tapered off a bit. And now, I don't even know if,
So he bounces back with 2 goals. No, I didn't. Not
Right.
for anything. Just the high stick in the corner there. I saw that. And outside of that,
not a great way to be noticed.
But yes, exactly. And that's a fair criticism. That's a fair comment. That's something that's a sharp eye. But generally with young guys, it's not like this. And that's what Ryan McLeod's trying to get to, where the game is relatively consistent, where the dips and peaks and valleys aren't so big and just when you find that level of consistency, and it doesn't happen for young guys all the time that quickly. He was good for a bit. He's going to have these dips. I'm not making an excuse for him. I expect him to be better. But when you have that much of a differential between when you're good and when you're bad, it's either a sign of A, you're slumping, or B, you're a young guy still trying to figure it out. I'll give him still young guy trying to figure it out still.
It happens to every professional athlete. You have better games
Not
than
Wayne
others.
Gretzky. I'm just kidding.
But it seems as though this dip is significantly deeper than most. But
then,
I think, Tom, I think collectively, if we had a wide screen here and a wide, I'd go up on the counter here and we'd do some downward dogs.
We're doing yoga?
Some breathing. I think some rhythmic breathing exercises might be in order for some of the nasty chat, because I think that you all need to take a collective deep breath, exhale, and I think the Oilers can pull it together for Saturday, regroup, take some time off, get some rest, come back put a better effort in. And I think with that, but it is on that teeter point of where you're talking slump and you're talking.
Well, I'm not going there yet. I'm not going there yet.
But you're on that teeter totter right now as an Edmonton Oilers fan.
They're teasing fans in all the wrong ways.
So I think I know if the Oilers can come out and play a consistent, high-paced game and control the game, like they can, then I think Saturday will be just fine.
I'll take a positive outlook on this. They're getting a wake-up call, and it's on them to collectively pull their bootstraps up.
There he is.
And there we go. We got a nasty in tow.
Well, here, I can't buy you a beer on air, but I will definitely give you that, and I'll probably join you.
Give me one of those. Yeah, thanks for coming down. As we wind things down, grab that, grab a lanyard. We got some trinkets and whatnots and hootenannies that we like to give away when we're on location. We'll see. We're wrapping up. Are you taking off? Going back to work? Oh, okay.
Well, don't have that beer. Okay.
Have it later.
But you can. These don't expire.
Thanks for stopping by.
Signed by Tommy.
I'm not signing anything. Okay, let's wrap up. A couple more texts and then we're done for the night. This one from Coach Mike says, not too concerned with the Oilers. They do need to clean up the penalty kill, need a better effort in Dallas. Boston has gone 1-3-1 in their last 5, losing to Calgary, Washington, and Seattle. Good teams can't win every game. Coach Mike, good perspective. Thanks, buddy. Norman a Combine says, hey, boys, terrible game. Good thing my Popeyes tonight. So good. Have a great night, Norm in a Combine. All right, nasty chat to wind things down, Jay.
Do you think I look like Harry Neal?
Let me go to the.
I don't even
like
remember
a young Harry Neal. Yeah,
I don't know, mate. I hope it's not an old Harry Neal. Dell asked that tonight, and that was the second person that said that. Jeez, I gotta Google Harry Neal. It's been a long time since Harry Neal
legend
has been.
Harry Neal is a legend. Take it as a compliment.
Yeah,
Harry Neal was a legend.
Who doesn't know who Harry Neal is? Okay, another thing.
Yeah.
Give Brown second line minutes, then and see what happens. I think he's.
Who said that?
Toes to Kane. Well, it's from Simple_101. I think he's not detrimental to the team. Plus, he's relegated to fourth line duty, playing with the tiny Ryan and invisible Janmark. So now we've gone full circle.
He's earned his spot in no man's land on the lineup. I would say. I don't.
From
It's
the
just
press box
it's
to the
not
second
there.
line.
Yeah, and I joke about it all the time, Jay. When he made the comments about a month ago in Anaheim when the Oilers were there and smacked around the Ducks, he was doing a pregame interview and he said the word fun 17 times in like a 3-minute span. And I'm like, this guy is miserable right now. He's trying to put on a straight face and be a good soldier, but it is not happening, and it's only gotten worse from there. That's my take on it.
Maybe Connor Brown is the one. Maybe Connor Brown needs bigger pads. So a bigger target to bounce pucks off of him into the twine.
Oh, nasty chat never change. Okay, that's all I want to say. We're gonna
nasty chat.
wind things down here. This is it for the Oil Stream post game show. Jay, shake and bake, buddy, glue guy. Thank you for helping us out on
Mr. Neal,
Mr. Harry Neal himself. Yeah, it's been a day at EST, a fun one, a long one. Serenity now. Serenity now. Matthew Wanek. This guy is an absolute workhorse. So a big shout out to Maddie for stepping up today when we had to deal with some unforeseen circumstances, and to everyone who put up with us and everyone who chimed in and enjoyed what we had to provide today. We salute and appreciate you. That's going to do it for the Oil Stream postgame show live on location for the first time at Hudsons Whyte Avenue. We are back on location, Hudson's Bourbon Street, on Wednesday when the Oilers take on the Boston Bruins.
Of that.
Should be a dandy. Tons of GCs to give you guys.
Should be a banger.
Come by, say hi like the good folks have. Shout out to Richard Croft, Johnny Alberta, and Corey for stopping by. And that's going to do it. For Jay Milne, Matthew Wanek, and Matty Kassian, I'm Tom Gazzola saying, have a good night, Oil Country. Take a deep breath. Maybe some yoga stretches, like Jay Milne said. First time ever on the post-game show, we've discussed doing some yoga to get some vent sessions in.
That's what happens when you ask me.
There you go. Serenity now. The Oilers fall 6-3 to the St. Louis Blues. Ciao for now. We'll talk to you tomorrow.